A very good morning, Team Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. The former South African President Thabo Mbeki has urged Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa to do the right thing, and he says that he must take an example from the 2008 elections, where after disputed election, President Mugabe did the right thing and resolved the impasse which was created by electoral theft in the nation of Zimbabwe. So we need to take a look onto this matter more deeper, because it is very important for us to actually get the facts. So President Mbeki was having an interview in the nation of South Africa, and he actually delivered this and clearly told off President Mnangagwa to do the right thing. It's one thing to get somebody who advises you, and it's one thing not to take a listening ear. So according to Zim Life, they say former South African President Thabo Mbeki says President Mnangagwa should ask himself what is in the best interest of Zimbabweans in order to move the country forward. After disputed elections last month, he was speaking to SABC in New York, United States, where he is attending meetings at the United Nations. And President Mbeki offered no solutions to the current crisis, but appeared to suggest that the power-sharing government, like the one he brokered in 2009, can resolve the political crisis which is harming Zimbabwe's prospects of ending an unrelenting economic crisis. So let us take a look onto this video and see what he had to say.
South African context, we've had another disputed election. Observer missions have voiced their concerns. How do you see this process? How should this process play itself out?
Well, I really don't know. This time I have not been very close to these Zimbabwe processes, but as far as I knew, after the SADC observers had made their comments, virtually saying, as far as we are concerned, these elections were not representative of popular opinion, and submitted their report to the chair of the SADC organ, President Hichilema of Zambia. I don't know what happened after that. Because I would presume that then the SADC organ would have had to study the report and make a decision or suggestion as to what is to be done. I mean, you remember when after the 2008 elections, which were very disputed, and then the second round of the presidential elections marked by a lot of violence. After that, the Zimbabwe parties agreed that really the only way to respond to this reality is that they must come together into a government of national unity. It was a response to what had happened in the elections. Well, as I said, that I was very directly involved in those particular processes. I've not been now in terms of Zimbabwe, so I can't say this is what I think should happen. But I'm saying in 2008, when the Zimbabweans themselves could see that the elections had not produced a winner, the best thing to do, let's get together as Zimbabweans for 5 years and see what we can do together. That kind of approach, I think, if one says, I'm a leader of the people of South Africa, what must inspire you is not my personal position as ANC president or president of the Republic. When I had to leave in 2008, it was to say what would be in the best interest of the country.
Right.
The decision of the ANC was wrong. To say I must leave, I knew that, and I said so publicly. They based themselves on a wrong opinion expressed by a judge in a court, and the Supreme Court of Appeal rebuked the judge and said he never should have never said things like that. I knew that. But in the interest of what happens to South Africa, I thought it was best that to say, let's go along with this wrong decision. Because not to have said no, to say I'm not going, would have created an enormous crisis. I'm just saying that I think people who are holding political positions, I lead the people of South Africa. I must act as a leader, same as the leaders of the people of Zimbabwe. What is in the best interest of Zimbabwe in a situation of this kind? That's how I would have approached the matter.
So final question for you, Mr. President.
This is what President Mbeki had to say regarding the Zimbabwe just ended elections. Remember, these elections were discredited by almost all international observers, except for pro-ZANU-PF observers like the Palestinian observer missions, just a few who said everything was well, but almost each and every election observer said this election was a sham. But before we even talk about the election observer missions, how these elections were conducted, ZANU-PF itself, its own candidates, agrees that these elections were not done properly. We have seen in Seke, the candidate approaching the court and saying that these elections were not conducted properly. We have seen in Zimba East, the candidate there approaching the court saying these elections were not done properly. We have seen in Shurugwi, a candidate there, ZANU-PF candidates, clearly indicating that these elections were not done properly. So, in a broader context, you would understand that this is what happened. These elections are viewed as the worst elections in the history of Zimbabwe, and there is need to actually act and see how best this can be resolved, and how best the issues of this matter can be resolved without causing too much harm to the economy and to the people of Zimbabwe, putting the best interests of the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe forward. So it doesn't need arrogance, it doesn't need chindini, it needs everybody to come on board. It needs reasonable minds to come on board, scrutinize and diagnose the problem, and find solutions to this problem, because one day, one way or the other, this will escalate into an unstoppable problem. And we do not wish that for the country of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Zimbabwe. So this is what Thabo Mbeki said, Team Zimbabwe. I don't know, in the comment section, please, can we have this discussion? Can we talk? What do you think about the expressions of Thabo Mbeki? Remember, Cyril Ramaphosa was trying to run away and was trying to hide from the fact that this election is not an election or was not an election, but he was caught unawares and was exposed right there by the journalists. So let us talk in the comment section, Team Zimbabwe. What do you think about what President Mbeki just said? Are you in agreement or in a disagreement? My name is Ronald Wekumakusha.